Hello guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today is the 29th of May 2022. We are here today to look at the updates at what is happening to the Russia-Ukraine war, to see how things have changed over the past 24 hours. Three key areas that we are looking at where the battle has been hot is Liman, Severodonetsk and Popasna. Despite that, there was no much change in the orientation of the front lines, but there were some significant fighting areas. As we can see here, the green dots, these were areas of significant fighting. We can see around Luhansk and Donetsk, there was significant fighting, and also Zaporozhye, there was also significant fighting. This is the area of Kherson. We will talk about them later on. Around Severodonetsk, the Ukrainian forces have managed to push back the Russian forces, or we can say the Russian forces have retreated into the woodlands. Maybe it is a tactical retreat. We are still waiting to see how they will come up, but the Ukrainian forces still occupy the built-up area. Around the 26th, Russian forces moved into the built-up areas, but they were quickly pushed back by the Ukrainian forces. So for now, there is no change to the front lines, and we are waiting to see if there will be any changes. Around Popasna, there is also no major change because the Russian forces still hold that area, and the Ukrainian forces are still occupying the peripheral areas of Popasna. However, to the south of Popasna, there was a little gain for the Russian forces as they managed to push Ukrainian forces and take up a small village around that area. It's not a big area, but it's just a small village that they managed to fight and occupy in that area. Liman as well, since it has become one of the hot areas for this battle around the Donbas region. But however, for the past 24 hours, there was no much change around Liman. Russian forces have managed to capture the industrial area, that is the transport hub of Liman, and they pushed the Ukrainian forces close to the Severodonetsk River. But the Ukrainian forces still control the area around the crossing points, the two bridges and the dam and the surrounding woodlands. So it is still a stalemate as well around that area, and we are waiting to see if the Russian forces will try to cross the river, whether the Ukrainian forces will further retreat backwards or they will try to move forward, or they will change course to shift towards Severodonetsk. Remember, to the south there was little fighting until yesterday, where some vicious fighting emerged again around Kherson and also around Zaporozhye. Russian forces took over a small village near this area. It seems like the Russian forces want to keep the Ukrainian forces that are to the south so that they will not be deployed to the Donbas region, because right now, as we speak, the Donbas region is falling apart for the Ukrainian forces. So they need either backup or they need more artillery in that area. But the Russian forces starting to shell and fight in the south, which means maybe they want to keep the Ukrainian forces in that area so that they will not be shifted back to the Donbas area. Ukrainian forces have managed to push back the Russian forces. The Ukrainian forces have been kept out of this area by the Russian forces, but yesterday the Ukrainian forces fought hard and managed to rescue a significant amount of the area. But however, this area is very close to Crimea, and we know that Russian forces have an airbase around Crimea, which means they might be tempted to use air power to strike Ukrainian defense lines around Zaporozhye, that is advancing near Zaporozhye. But we are waiting to see how this petrol line, the new development, will proceed. But this new development might take some time to really show how it will form, because there are 3 battalions of the Russian forces that are located in that area. Let's take a quick look at what the media is saying at the moment about the developments, or what the media is saying about what might change the course of the war at the moment. Because as we know right now, the Ukrainian side is on the receiving end. Things are not well for the Ukrainian forces. The Russian forces are gaining little but significant ground. The area of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk are almost being enclosed. The governor of Luhansk was advocating for the troops to retreat out of the area. And what does this retreat mean? This will be a huge victory for the Russian forces, because they will occupy the whole area of the Donbas region without contestation. And that means that tactically the Ukrainian forces would have lost that area. Even if they may fight again for other areas, but the Donbas region will be a done deal for the Russian forces. So we are waiting to see whether that will come out as the ultimate command, or it was just an utterance. We are waiting to see. But as of now, a tactical retreat out of the Donbas will be a good move to avoid encirclement, because once they are encircled, we are likely to see the same situation that happened in Mariupol. We are watching the developments and to see what will be happening as time goes on. Also, in other news, we know that government of the United States has okayed the deal of $40 billion to give weapons to the Ukrainian forces. But we don't know when the shipments will begin to flow into Ukraine. As we know that there was a huge margin in terms of firepower between the Russian side and the Ukrainian side, and President Zelensky has been asking for more weapons to be delivered. But right now we might start seeing weapons flowing from the United States and other allies into Ukraine. But the nature of the weapons that will be flowing, we don't know at the moment. But President Zelensky has been asking for more stronger and more powerful missile launchers, of which we are not so sure whether the government of America would agree to send such powerful missiles or missile launchers to Ukraine, since it might escalate the situation with Russia. Other countries that are helping Ukraine at the moment, they are sending more and more weapons. And as of yesterday, reports were saying that the government of Denmark and the government of Finland have also okayed sending missiles as well as missile launchers to Ukraine. And this will be an advantage to the Ukrainian forces, which are more and more depleted in terms of weapons. So this weapon aid from Denmark and from Finland is a good move to the Ukrainian forces, since they are in short supply of missiles. But we are still waiting to see what kind of missile launchers will they get. More developments that are being reported says that President Zelensky has echoed some sentiments that he is willing to negotiate with President Putin. President Zelensky is requesting for direct talks between the two presidents, but we are not so sure whether President Putin will agree to sit down and talk with President Zelensky. So we are waiting to see how this will play out. But with the collapse of the Donbas front lines, President Zelensky has little options, one of which would be to negotiate a ceasefire and engage in peaceful talks to end this conflict. Still on the issue of peace talks and ending the conflicts, yesterday there was a discussion involving the Chancellor of Germany, President Macron of France, as well as President Putin. and they discussed, among other things, to end this conflict in a peaceful manner. However, President Putin was never clear about his next move. The two presidents urged President Putin to release those prisoners of war that surrendered from the Azovstal steel plant. But throughout the meeting, President Putin didn't show any indication of willingness to release those prisoners of war, or even any indication of willingness to engage President Zelensky into peaceful talks. It seems like the Russian counterpart is willing to fight out until the Donbas region is liberated. And if there are talks that will happen, maybe they will happen at a later stage. But we are not so sure what will happen, since the United States has okayed $40 billion, and that will be mostly for supplying weapons. Right now we are seeing Finland, we are seeing Denmark supplying more weapons to Ukraine, and this might mean a more serious conflict ahead, and there are no signs of peaceful talks coming along the way. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll wait to see how this war will progress. But as of today, it was more of a stalemate. There were no much changes to the front line, and we are waiting to see after this break. As things stand, the new offensive might be much more severe, since the Russian side is testing victory. At the same time, the Ukrainian side need to rise up from the defeats that they have suffered, and also to regain the areas that they have lost. We are likely to see more bloodshed, more damage, and even more civilian casualties. So thank you guys for tuning in. I will come back to you again with more updates later on. Have a good day.